Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Bio News Network. We're actually tracking a severe tornado advisory at this time, and we're actually looking at about a 200-mile square area that is actually close to the border of Alabama and Mississippi, primarily just a little bit north of Mobile, Alabama, but just south of Meridian, Mississippi, right on actually the borderline. This area could actually be the zone that we're actually monitoring, and we're going to actually show you based on the modeling why we believe that there's a very high likelihood of a tornado touching down or multiple tornadoes touching down in this area. We're going to go ahead and load our cuboid, which will actually show the different models while we're actually discussing. And actually, when we actually take a look at the model, we're actually taking a look at precipitation rate. We're actually taking a look at Cape profiling. We're actually seeing significant numbers as far as supercell composite data, and we're also taking a look at the storm slinky data, which is actually coming in, which gives us a lot of information as far as all the data points lining up. And we'll actually show you a little bit later actually what we're actually talking about when it comes to actually everything coming together for a high likelihood of a tornado touchdown in a 200-mile possibly 200 to 300 mile square area along the border between Mississippi and Alabama very shortly, if not already. So before we get started, please go ahead, like and subscribe to this video. Share it with those that you think may be impacted by this information. You cannot have too much caution when it comes to the situation with tornadoes, so we want to provide this information as soon as possible. We saw all of the elements of possibly a tornado forming only an hour ago, so based on our analysis of the different models, so we wanted to produce this video even if it was going to provide safety for just one subscriber. So let's take a look at it. So we're actually focusing for the purpose of this video on coordinates 31.46 north, 88.36 west. And when we actually take a look at this model, we actually see there's significant precipitation in the area, but we have to actually go deeper into taking a closer look at it. This is actually Cape profiling, and this model actually shows an extremely high number when it comes to the Cape profiling of joule per kilogram reading, and we're actually seeing above 3,000, which we have actually, it's been very rare as we've been monitoring this area. And we are actually focusing specifically on coordinates 31.46 north, 88.36 west, simply because when we actually do analysis and actually take a look at the lapse rates as well as Cape profiling as well as the dew points, we see all the different criteria that looks like a supercell is forming with possibly large hail and other very destructive and severe weather patterns. If we actually take a look at another model beyond the Cape profiling, we're actually taking a look at the lapse. The lapse rate actually takes into account changes of atmospheric variables within respect to altitude, and we do see that there's a significant value here that should be taken into account, especially along the border of Mississippi and Alabama. If we also take a closer look at another model, we do see that there's actually significant activity in the area here, specifically to also looking at the supercell composite data. So if we actually go very closely, take a closer look at what we're actually taking a look at, which is the storm slinky, we actually see the data points changing from nominal to weak to significant alert going forward into the late afternoon here on the 25th of March. And we actually take a closer look at changes with respect to altitude and also changes with respect to pressure. And we do see several data points lining up, and we can actually see the Cape value actually exceeding, which is normally when we started reporting on as a tornado advisory yesterday, the 24th, the values that we were seeing were in the ranges of maybe 1,200 to possibly 1,800 joule kilograms. But now we're actually seeing data points exceeding 3,000. So we thought that it was very, very important for us to produce this advisory immediately to those who are possibly living in a 200 to 300 mile square mileage area, primarily along the border, southern area of the border between Mississippi and Alabama, north of Mobile, but south of Birmingham, but overlapping into the border of Mississippi and possibly 150 miles to the east of the border of the border between Alabama and Mississippi. So we're actually talking about a 300, we anticipate 250 to 300 mile square area that should be a red alert area, just simply cautionary for the residents within that area that the values that we're seeing specifically to supercell formation, at least severe thunderstorms with hail is possible, with significant wind activity, significant gusting winds is possible. If we take a closer look at the dew points, we actually saw earlier in the week when we were taking a look at this forecast that we saw dew points as far as saturation of water vapor and the water vapor imagery somewhere between in the 50s and the 60s. Now we're actually seeing dew points into the low 70s. So that's why we're actually quite a little bit disturbed by all of the different elements that are actually coming together for this forecast. And we do anticipate that there will be significant and severe weather activity in the late evening along the border, closer to the coast, along the border between Mississippi and Alabama. And we actually are highlighting this coordinate because we, based on all the data profiling, the data modeling at this particular time, we are actually seeing significant activity in this zone. So we have actually extended this data point out to include a 250 mile square radius area that is a little bit closer to the Gulf Coast, but it's actually smack in the middle between the border of Alabama and Mississippi. I reach out to all of the residents in this area to be a little bit concerned, a little bit cautious at this time. It's preferably to be on high alert, keep all avenues of media available so that you can be alerted for any kind of tornado watch alerts from your local radio and TV stations. And by all means, please exercise maximum caution with dealing with tornado activity. Winds can exceed 75 miles per hour or much higher depending on the level of intensity. So this is actually Bound News Network bringing you our detailed analysis based on our lapse rate analysis, precipitation rate analysis, Cape profiling model, and other weather forecasts that we're all compiling into one composite based on what we believe will be supercell formation within only a matter of a few hours in that area that we are actually highlighting. So if you are well versed in coordinates, these coordinates that we are relaying, that we are actually setting an advisory for, is 31.46 north, 88.35 west. We do hope and pray that we are wrong, but if by providing this information to our subscribers, we provide safety to at least one person in that area, then by all means, this has served its purpose to be a cautionary advisory for those living in that area. If you appreciate weather content, please go ahead and subscribe to Bound News Network. We provide daily updates as far as weather is concerned, and we send our hopes and prayers to those living in the area that are facing severe weather at this time. We hope and pray that for lack of casualties, lack of loss of property. Please look out for your neighbors, look out for yourself, and exercise caution. And thank you, and always remember to bow to the weather. Have a good day.